Hi. My name's Janie, and I'm gonna do this little breakdown of Regina Spektor songs that inspire me. So, I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm working on this album right now, and I'm finding myself wanting to do the very best I can. And I thought that the best way for me to connect with the lyricist in me would be to connect with the reason I fell in love with this art form to begin with. Before we get in, one of the things that I think is magic about Regina is just that her songs feel like they already exist. It feels like stumbling upon a monument. It feels like stumbling upon ruins or a canyon or something like the biggest, most beautiful, magical tree you've ever seen in your goddamn life. Her songs feel like wonders of the world. I was just listening to like the Taylor Swift breakdown that she did of her songwriting process, and I was also watching the Swiftologist talk about that, and I really love and appreciate both her sort of take on her own songwriting, sharing her process, and then also the Swiftologist, like breaking it down as a fellow writer himself. And they talk a lot about structure and like about needing to know structure before you can break it down. And I completely agree with all those points. And I also have this memory of when I was sharing songs with a friend, and I realized that my songs didn't feel like they were real for some reason. And she said, well, it's because you're not following a good song structure. And this was somebody who, like, I had no reason to trust her opinion because I don't think she had written a song that I thought would be like would mean that I should care what she has to say. Um, but it's good advice to know structure and things. I'm bringing all this up because I think Regina Spektor does something fascinating where there is structure to her songs, but the structure like comes from the song. It's not like verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, or anything along those lines. But they are structured. They have a structure. It's just that it comes from within the material itself a little bit more than that kind of pop up and down. And not all the time. You know, she has songs and I have songs that follow those structures. But I think that you don't have to follow those structures for it to feel like a real song. Although I completely agree that when you're learning to write, you should absolutely stick within that so that you can like learn the rules of the game. So anyway, that idea of like a monument that you stumble upon or a landmark that you stumble upon or nature, her songs feel really natural. And at the same time, they tell epic stories about humanity. They tell stories about the physics of living, like the emotional physics of life, how it works, how empathy works, how feelings travel between us, how feelings change us, and then how we change feelings. And I think there's no better place to start than with the song Lady. I love this song. Oh my God, I love this song. So let's get into it. Lady sings the blues so well, as if she mean it, as if it's hell down here in the smoke-filled world where the jokes are cold. They don't laugh at jokes, they laugh at tragedies, corner street societies. So this is setting up a character named Lady, or the Lady, and we know that she sings the blues, that when she sings, it's got this like truth to it. As if it's hell down here in the smoke-filled world where the jokes are cold. They don't laugh at jokes, they laugh at tragedies. You know what this song immediately makes me think of? What's this? Is it just called Cabaret? From Cabaret? What is that song called? Hold on. Come to the cabaret. Life is a cabaret, old chum. Come to the cabaret. Okay. What good is sitting alone in your room? Come hear the music play. Life is a cabaret, old chum. Come to the cabaret. So there's these themes here about performance, about music, about the difficulty of life juxtaposed with the beauty of song. They believe her. They never ever leave her. While she sings, she makes them feel things. So she makes them feel safe. Is that true? If that's the word, that's never how I've heard it. She says, I can sing this song so blue that you will cry in spite of you. Little wet tears on your baby's shoulder. Little wet tears on your baby's shoulder. Let's talk about little wet tears on your baby's shoulder. So, one of the things that Regina does so well is juxtaposing these huge things with these little tiny moments. And especially in something like this song, we're talking about fantasy and we're talking about reality. And it's always meta because we're also talking about what it is to sing and what it is to write a song, and how singing is an embodiment of the fantasy because you're singing it. And so it's like the song only can happen through your physical body. So there is some reality to it, but the song is a fantasy because it's more beautiful than the life is. But the little wet tears on your baby's shoulder means that you're holding a baby and you're crying onto the baby. That's how I always pictured it. I'm kind of realizing right now that it could be the baby's tears. But that's never how I pictured it. And so what we're doing here is saying you can pretend that your really, really challenging, difficult life is beautiful as much as you want. But the reality is there are tears on your baby's shoulder. So what about that? And she's singing from a really difficult position. They don't laugh at jokes, they laugh at tragedies, corner street societies. This is the world she's coming from. But she's singing to you. She's living in this really difficult world, anchored in sadness. And she's singing a beautiful fantasy song to you. Maybe your world is not like that. Maybe your world is not anchored in sadness. But you will feel things in spite of them. In spite of anything that tries to put defenses up against the tragedy of the world, you can't with this song. Because this song that this lady is singing is the bridge between the two. And if you're listening, then you are on the bridge. You don't get to do anything about it. You're on the bridge. And I have walked these streets so long, there ain't nothing right, there ain't nothing wrong, but the little wet tears on my baby's shoulder. Little wet tears on my baby's shoulder. And that's the thing. Something that is so complex that it loses the edges. It loses the harsh shapes of everything. Everything is so harsh, maybe. So saturated that it all blends into each other. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing right. There's nothing wrong. But there are little wet tears on my baby's shoulder. And then, here's where we get into the song giving us the structure. Lady lights a cigarette, puffs away, no regrets, takes a look around, no regrets, no regrets. And we're speeding up in this point. Lady lights a cigarette, puffs away, no regrets, takes a look around, no regrets, no regrets. So this is distraction. This is the lady being like, oh shit, there are tears on my baby's shoulders. It's not just that I'm making you cry, it's that in the wash of everything around me, I can pretend like there's nothing right and nothing wrong. But the truth is that there are tears on my baby's shoulder. But I can't think about that. And so lady lights a cigarette, looks around, no regrets, takes a look around, no regrets, whatever it is. And the song speeds up. And it says, oh, we're brushing past that. We're brushing past that. We're moving on. We're moving through. We're moving through. Sing. Oh, yeah. Right. Stretches out like branches of a poplar tree. Says, I'm free. Sing so soft as she'll break. She says, I can sing. So it's like, and again, I don't know if I said this earlier, but I'm not listening to these songs before I go into them because I chose them because they have stuck with me for however many years, 15 years. Some of these songs I haven't listened to in 10 years, but I know them. They are in my heart. And I think that there's something really special about analyzing how things have sunk into you, more than necessarily how you might greet them as if you're strangers. So I'm not 100% sure that if you listen to the song that you're going to be like, oh my God, she does these exact cadences. But it's how I feel about the song. So she says, I'm free. She sings so soft that she'll break. And then it goes, I can sing this song so blue that you'll cry in spite of you. She's proving it. And it's a thing that makes her feel powerful. And so she's getting overwhelmed. She feels free. She's also trying to convince herself that she's free. It's a complicated feeling. It's an opening, overwhelming, but also powerful. And then it all fades into her singing. And then it's the same chorus. And then there's just the outro. But on this stage, I've learned to fly, learn to sing, and learn to cry. Little wet tears on my baby's shoulder, little wet tears on my baby's shoulder. So on this stage, I've learned to fly. This is saying that this is her escape. This is where her freedom is rooted, on this stage, which is wherever she's singing. Learn to sing and learn to cry. To me, that is learning the beauty of things and also learning to build reality, to build space for the things that are not beautiful and that are just sad. Now it's time to say goodbye. Some might laugh, but I will surely cry. Little wet tears on my baby's shoulder, little wet tears on my baby's shoulder. I don't know. Who is she saying goodbye to? Is it us? Because it's the end of the song? Why are we laughing? And why is she crying? What does it mean? Where does she go when the song ends? One of my favorite things about Regina Spektor's work is that she builds these characters that have so much to them in such a little amount of time that it feels like they have secrets. You know, I used to act. And when I was acting, my favorite thing to do, and an acting teacher told me this once, is to give your character a secret. And immediately that gives you some oomph. That gives you some like presence, because there's something that you know that no one else knows. So there's a little something behind every single thing that you do that no one will ever really be able to get. So they can look for it. It makes you more enticing. And I think that Regina does this in all of her songs. And I think this is one of those moments where we get to like kind of be in that mystery. And then it ends. Lady lights a cigarette, puffs away, and winter comes, and she forgets. What is she forgetting? There's a part of me that thinks maybe her baby's died, and she's puffing away to distract herself from that. I don't know. Winter comes. Corner street societies. So in my impression, this is somebody who's like living on the street or in kind of unstable housing. A really difficult life to have a baby in, to raise a child in. Maybe that's that. it ends with music. It's got a musical, kind of jazzy, brassy ending. So stunning. This song is so amazing, and it's space to be in the mystery at the end. It's an unanswered question. The whole thing just speaks to how powerful a song can be for both the listener and for the speaker.
And then there's this solo.
The speaker vulnerably opening up about that power, and then leaving the song to the music. It's almost like at that point, both the listener and the speaker kind of retreat and let the song happen to them. How amazing is that? That is a whole world in a song. I love that song. So that is Lady. Let's go to song number 2. The man of 1,000 faces sits down at the table, eats a small lump of sugar, and smiles at the moon like he knows her, and begins his quiet ascension without anyone's steady instruction to a place of no religion, has found a path to or a likeness. Oh, to a place that no religion has found a path to or a likeness. Let's start with just that. God. And this is another, I'm looking at this and trying to make heads or tails out of it for the first time. The man of 1,000 faces sits down at the table, eats a small lump of sugar, and smiles at the moon like he knows her. Immediately, the man of 1,000 faces sounds mythical, fable. To me, it immediately calls to mind mental instability, like schizophrenia, things like that. But it's archetypical and abstract. So the man of 1,000 faces sits down at the table. So we start with this mythical everything sort of line, but then we're at a table and we're eating a small lump of sugar. So I don't know how to picture a man with 1,000 faces, but I know how to picture anyone sitting at a table and eating a lump of sugar, smiling at the moon like he knows her. This is like we were everything. We were in the whole universe. We were 1,000 faces. And then we zoom into a kitchen table. We're sitting on it. We're eating a lump of sugar, looking out the window and smiling at the moon like he knows her. In that is so like he knows her, like the familiar smile. You can picture that. You can picture that so clearly. But we're still zooming out again because we're bringing in the moon. Begins his quiet ascension without anyone's steady instruction. So when I think of this, if, again, in my mind, we're talking about maybe someone with schizophrenia or something like that, who is for example, going off of their meds, without any steady instruction, begins his quiet ascension without any steady instruction. To me, that's like somebody doing something with no help or guidance, to a place that no religion has found a path to or a likeness. The places that we go alone, maybe just with the moon, who we smile at like we know her. That no steady instruction can even get us to. His words are quiet like stains are on a tablecloth washed in a river, stains that are trying to cover for each other or at least blend into the patterns. Oh my god. I'm literally have you ever heard of more beautiful set of lines? First of all, it immediately just evokes exactly what it says. His words are quiet like stains are on a tablecloth washed in a river. I can picture the faded stains, and I can picture the hands like washing it against a rock in the river, and I can picture that it was worse, and then you're washing it, and it lightens, it's gentler, but it's still there. Stains that are trying to cover for each other, or at least blend in with the pattern. That makes me feel like one of the stains. That's immediately, I think, well, I'm trying to cover for people. Like, I am a stain trying to make the stains around me feel like they belong. That's exactly how I feel. I don't know why, but that's just exactly where I go. Stains that are trying to cover for each other, at least blend in with the pattern. This feels like, let's say that this is about somebody who is either, not neurotypical, mentally unstable, who's not fitting the mold. Quietly trying to blend in. Quietly trying to fit the mold. Or at least fit in with the pattern, which is maybe what you think it should be.
Good is
better than perfect. Scrub till your fingers are bleeding. Good is better than perfect is a sentence, a line that I put up on my chalkboard wall when I was in high school and had over my bed, so it was the first thing I saw when I woke up in the night. Good is better than perfect. My mother never liked that line, but I really like it. Scrub till your fingers are bleeding. So you're trying to scrub these stains out. So at first we've got this very gentle look at the stains. And then we have good is better than perfect. But still we're scrubbing till our fingers are bleeding. And I'm crying for things that I tell others to do without crying. So it's like here we're watching the narrator of this song, who is not the man with 1,000 faces, but is someone else, say, oh, stains that are trying to cover for each other at least blend in with a pattern. We're giving humanity to these stains. We're saying good is better than perfect. However, what are we doing? We're scrubbing until our fingers are bleeding, and we're crying for things that we tell others to do without crying. And so there's immediately this tension where I'm the narrator of the song, and I'm trying to be gentle, and I'm trying to be forgiving, and trying to see the beauty in everything, but I am not living up to that. I am actually being really hard on myself. I'm saying that good is better than perfect, but I am scrubbing until my fingers are bleeding. And I'm crying for things that I tell others to do without crying. And then we pull back. He used to go to his favorite bookstore and rip out his favorite pages and stuff them into his breast pockets. And the moon to him was a stranger. He used to go to his favorite bookstore and rip out his favorite pages. When I hear he used to go to his favorite bookstore, I'm beginning to think, oh, maybe this was a time when he was a little bit more sound, or when he could fit in a little bit more easily, the man of 1,000 faces. But no, he went and he ripped out his favorite pages. So this is talking about love. I love this bookstore so much, I want to go there, so I will. But then where it gets overbearing and overwrought and too passionate, I'm tearing out my favorite pages and I'm stuffing them into my breast pocket because I want them close to my heart. And the moon to him was a stranger. And the moon to him was a stranger. So again, this is why it feels like he used to go to his favorite. So it's like, it's back in time. What happened where the moon became someone that he thinks he knows, or that he does know? What does it mean that the moon to him was a stranger? It's when we, in the very beginning, when I talked about the scaling of the song, that it like starts super big and then got smaller. I wonder, this all seems small. The moon to him was a stranger. It's almost giving the bigness in contrast to him. Like his perspective and everything is still small. He's not a man with 1,000 faces yet. He's just a man in a bookstore ripping out his favorite pages and stuffing them into his breast pockets. It's all here. And he's here, and then the moon is over here, and he has not come out to her yet. But now he sits down at the table right next to the window and begins his quiet ascension without any sturdy instruction to a place of no religion. He's found a path to her likeness. He eats a small lump of sugar and smiles at the moon like he knows her. So what they're doing here, again, talking about how Regina Spektor builds a structure in her songs that are absolutely structured, but don't follow traditional structure. Because what we're doing is we're stair-stepping back to the beginning of the song. So he's sitting down at the table here. Can I bring this all down?
I love that song.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So sits down at the table. He sits down at the table, but now it's right next to the window, which we knew about here because he looks at the moon, right? Begins his quiet ascension, which is down here. Begins his quiet ascension. Where are you, girl? So we're sitting down at the table, and then we're beginning our quiet ascension to a place of no religion, has found a path to her a likeness. He eats a small lump of sugar and smiles at the moon like he knows her. So the reason that to me it feels like a stair step is because what it's doing is saying now, so we've talked about this time in the past, right? The moon was a stranger to him. He used to go to his favorite bookstore. We're bringing it back to the present moment. Now he's sitting at the table. So this is saying we're coming right back to the beginning of the song. And begins his quiet ascension. So what that's showing is like the internal experience of him, which we didn't know until the end of this part up here. Okay? And we're getting a little further deeper into this. And then we get back to the moment at hand where he's smiling at the moon like he knows her. And we end the whole thing on a C, which is a beautiful resolution musically. It feels very like home, feels belonging. And so I think that it's one of these songs that has this like energetic resolve in words that will never be able to be resolved. Because what she's talking about here, in my understanding and in my impression, is something that is unspeakable. I think she does this a lot, talking about the unspeakable. I know that she speaks about faith a lot, religion a lot, and I don't know anything about religion. I don't know any of the Bible stories that she references in songs like Samson. I know, and like Us, the song Us, like, you know, she talks about lots of huge themes that are rooted in history, in theology, in fables that I don't know about. So I might be missing big swaths of the story here. But what I'm seeing when I see all of this is a story about a character who doesn't fit into the world as we know it. The narrator wanting to be generous and loving and find kinship and belonging with this character and saying things, speaking into the world like a space for this person to live comfortably, but then finding some hypocrisy in that because the parts of her that relate to this character, she doesn't actually allow herself to feel. And then going back to the character and resolving to love him and to find some peace in his peace, even though it means the stains will never be cleaned from the tablecloth. The stains will never be cleaned from the tablecloth. But what beauty to be washing it in the river. He's a man of 1,000 faces, but he's befriended the moon. You know? I love this woman. Okay, we're going to go to the last song. So Man of 1,000 Faces was from the album Far. Lady was from the album 1111. And All the Rowboats was the single, I believe, from the album What We Saw in the Cheap Seats. I got to see this tour live at the Schnitz in Portland. And it was awesome. It was so cool. All the rowboats in the paintings, they keep trying to row away, and the captain's worried faces stay contorted and staring at the waves. They'll keep hanging in their gold frames for forever, forever and a day. All the rowboats in the oil paintings, they keep trying to row away, row away. Again, circling back to Lady, we're talking about art and its subjects and the idea of making something permanent. Pause, because I'm going to bring up The Neverending Story, which I feel like I bring up all the time. But in The Neverending Story, which is a novel that I can't recommend enough. Everyone in the world should read this novel, and I think the whole world would change overnight. There's this world called Fantastica, and there's the ruler of Fantastica is the childlike empress, and she is ethereal and young and beautiful, and she's got like she's like the idea of inspiration. She's the idea of creativity. She's the essence of all of those things, of life itself. And then there's this foil to her, which is like a Krampus of or the boogeyman of Fantastica, but not really. Atreyu, who's one of the characters in the book, his people think of him as this kind of boogeyman, because it's like he sees everything that you've done wrong, and he sets it in stone. But the truth is, he's the author. He's the idea of writing something down. He is the killing of the life by putting it into something that can't be changed. As I'm speaking my thoughts right now, once I've spoken them, I can't unspeak them. There's a before and after that happens just from that small act of speaking. And the same thing happens when you write something down. The same thing happens when you draw something, when you capture the moment. You kill it in a way. So yeah, I think that the way that The Neverending Story talks about it is this really beautiful way that gives reverence to both of the things. And the childlike empress is not afraid of this character whose name I can't remember. But yeah, he's this like old man that is in isolation writing the book. And I think that's what we're talking about here. The rowboats and the paintings keep trying to row away. It's the melancholy of art in general. You're looking at these paintings and you're thinking, wow, these paintings cannot change. They just are what they are. And there's something really beautiful about that Regina and I, this song was released in 2014, I think. Maybe she's talking about the Met. Maybe I can go to the Met and see this exact same painting and it's completely unchanged, except for maybe some maintenance, dusting. They'll keep hanging in their gold frames for forever, forever and a day, all the rowboats in the oil paintings. They keep trying to row away. Hear them whispering French and German, Dutch, Italian, and Latin. When no one's looking, I touch a sculpture, marble cold and soft as satin. This is also talking about the idea of a museum. The idea that you go in and you're not allowed to touch anything. This idea that art is not something that you're supposed to handle. It's not something that you're supposed to engage with in any sort of tactile or real way. No. Art needs to be behind glass. Art needs to have security guards around it and heat sensors to make sure that you don't get too close. And you're sneaking if you want to engage with it on like a human to human level, if you want to treat the art like it's more alive than it is dead. The most special are the most lonely. God, I pity the violins. In glass coffins, they keep coughing. They've forgotten how to sing. Like, what a poet. God, I pity the violins. Are you fucking kidding me? She's so good. Oh my god. The most special are the most lonely. God, I pity the violins. In glass coffins, they keep coughing. They've forgotten how to sing. Okay, we haven't talked a lot about things like song, inner rhyme structure, or like the things that make songs just like yummy to say. Regina Spektor is so good at this. I want everyone to repeat after me. God, I pity the violins. In glass coffins, they keep coughing. They've forgotten how to sing. The most special are the most lonely. God, I pity the violins. In glass coffins, they keep coughing. They've forgotten how to sing. So we've got so much internal rhyme happening. Glass coffins, keep coughing, forgotten how to sing. But then also we've got this alliteration. I keep coughing. And there's like, okay, the most special are the most lonely. That there's a word for that too, the poetics of that. God, I pity the violins. And again, Taylor Swift talks about this, mixing, she speaks about it in a way where she's talking about like mixing Shakespeare lines with modern vernacular, right? So she speaks about this with her song, The Fate of Ophelia. And she says that she uses Hamlet, she retools a line from Hamlet in the bridge, which is something like, what is it? Lost upon in memories, and only you could hold the key. No longer, and it's, you know what I mean. Anyway, it's Shakespearean, and then the chorus is like, I pledge allegiance to your team, your vibes. So she's doing this extremely stark, what was the colloquial language in a Shakespeare play versus what is the colloquial language on the internet in this common, right now. Regina does something that I think is a little bit of this, a very similar thing, but in this kind of more subtle way, because she's going from being extremely poetic, using a lot of mnemonic devices, to a line that you would just say. The most special are the most lonely. Let's even go up. When no one's looking, I touch a sculpture, marble cold and soft as satin. So we've got a simile here, soft as satin. And then the most special are the most lonely. These are subtle, but they are poetic devices. God, I pity the violins. That cuts all the poetry out and just says, God, I pity the violins. And we didn't know who it was that we were talking about before. So this is how we find out that the most special and the most lonely are the violins. So it's almost like I'm sitting here and I'm writing a poem to all of these lives that I see as being killed and trapped here. And I can't even finish the poem because it's just, God, I pity the violins. In glass coffins, they keep coughing. They've forgotten how to sing. And even this, they've forgotten how to sing. They've forgotten. What have they forgotten? Oh, they've forgotten how to sing. Do you see what I mean? Like, it's really subtle. It's just how it is. I think that's why I think of her writing like it's a landscape, like it's something that already exists out in the world. Because it just seems like the song itself pities the violin. The song itself has forgotten. What has I forgotten? Oh, I've forgotten how to sing. It's like the song itself has a life. And and again, it's why I love how much she talks about art in her songwriting, because it feels like she's a real mother of art. She's mothering these songs. She's not writing them. She's like allowing them to come to life, and then she's like letting them move through her body into the world, and grappling with all the complexities of that. It really like sends shivers up and down my spine. I do love her work. First there's Lights Out, then there's Lockup. Masterpieces serving maximum sentences. Again, Lights Out, then there's Lock Up. First there's Lights Out, then there's Lock Up. Masterpieces serving maximum sentences. Masterpieces serving maximum sentences. So it's like masterpieces and maximum and serving and sentences. Both kind of are starting with the same letters and are similar lengths. It's their own fault for being timeless. There's a price to pay and a consequence. Ooh. All the galleries, the museum. Here's your ticket. Welcome to the tombs. They're just public mausoleums. The living dead fill every room. Again, here's your ticket. Welcome to the tombs. She's doing these like really subtle breaks of the fourth wall, because the song is alive. It moves through narrators. It moves through the museum after the doors are closed and the lights are off. The most special are the most lonely. God, I pity the violins and glass coffins. They keep coughing. They've forgotten how to sing. They will stay there in their gold frames for forever, forever and a day. All the rowboats and the oil paintings, they keep trying to row away, row away. And here, we're repeating parts of the song. Which is the real chorus? What are we repeating? Are we retooling it and calling it an outro? It's not super, super clear, but it is speaking again to the themes of the song, because the song is about this capture. Again, back to the never-ending story characters. So it's about this solidifying of something, this writing something down so that it's unchangeable. This is what it is. The verse is what it is. I sang the first verse, and so that's the first verse. I sang the second verse, that's the second verse. And now they're repeating. We're taking pieces that we've already made and retooling them for the rest of the song. And so it does give this feeling of catacombs, of like you take a left and you see the same line. You take a right and you see the same line. There's no more living lyrics in this song anymore. It's just what you've already heard and known and has been spoken. Like what I said, when you speak, then it's already out there. So it's like the living part of the song is giving and giving and giving, and then the rest of it is the same as a museum where you're just seeing the same piece. Me going to the Met and seeing the Rowboats 10 years later. So that's me waxing poetic about Regina Spektor and why I love her music. Little bits of why. Thank you so much for being here. If you're a fellow fan, then wax poetic along with me in the comments. And really a big thank you to Regina and to everyone who is brave enough to like be themselves so much in their writing and to be so bold with sharing their work. because I really love to share my work, and I can only be the person I am doing it because of people like you. So thank you.
One more time with feeling. Try it again. Breathing's just a rhythm. Say